All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And I wanted to do a video where I go through various news articles. As you can see, there is a lot happening around the world right now. Okay. This video is not medical information by no means. Okay. We do not give medical advice. Concerning what happens if you get sick. Okay. So this is not medical information by any means. This is not medical advice. This is more of a informing and educational video. So, without further ado, let's get into it. As I said earlier, there is a lot happening around the world today. So I'm just going to go through various videos, various articles, excuse me. As you can see, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up, so bear with me. I'm going to go through various news articles, and expound upon it. So what we see right here is new World Economic Forum leader decrees all water in the world belongs to global government. Now, nowadays, when you see the word global government, the first thing that comes to your mind is what? A new world order, okay? Because the WEF is tied to the NWO, okay? And a matter of fact, the WEF, they work for the so-called global elites, okay? And we've been saying it for a long time. The so-called elites, they been had a agenda called a New World Order. And a part of their New World Order is to basically seize control of all of the world's assets, which water will be an asset of the world, right? Food, air, you name it. It's all an asset of the world. And they want to seize control of it. Okay, they don't want farmers growing food and rationing it off to grocery stores anymore. They don't want farmers anymore. They don't want independent contractors anymore. They want to put farmers out of business and have the government seize control of all the food through Monsanto, through the USDA. Okay, so and who was that? The Gates of Hell. He been trying to seize control of all the food through Monsanto and all of these different big time food companies. Okay, why do you think they're still burning down these various food factories responsible for processing and packaging food? Okay, these different food factories, and they show you that in movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Remember that scene in that movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre when they shut down that meat chopping business. Okay, that was pretty much the meat and food handling corporation of that particular area down there in Texas. Once that was gone, a lot of people moved out of that village, and that area became vacant. But there was one family who refused to leave that neighborhood, village, whatever, and they ended up what? Becoming cannibals. And that's where you get Texas Chainsaw Massacre at, okay? Because teenagers who will go by there, out of ignorance, because the news wasn't, you didn't have national news back then, right? So people would just they would drive by that area. They would stop at a nearby gas station, a store, or whatever. They would ask for directions, how to get there and that, and then, in most cases it would be young teenagers or it'd be adults. They would get misdirected and they would get led to this family of cannibals, where ultimately, they would they would end up lost, and then ultimately they'll come up missing. Okay, their arms would get chainsawed off, their legs would get chainsawed off, and basically those victims would become food for those people because the meat shops were closed. So, in other words, man, the whole United States of America is about to be full of Texas Chainsaw Massacres, man. A lot of people's about to turn to cannibalism because the government is going to have control of all the food and water. And the only way you're going to get food and water is if you take the RFID micro C-HIP, which is the MOTB, the mark of the BEAST. And if you take that, you're going to be destroyed. So a lot of people is going to result to cannibalism just to stay alive. Okay? And you preppers, they're stacking up food and all that, you're going to be the main targets. A lot of people is going to come to your place, and I think you know this, which is why you're stockpiling on guns, ammunitions. Y'all going to be setting traps and shit. Well, guess what? What you going to do when the government show up? Okay, the government have more power than civilians, but you see, these are the times that are coming and coming. And and we've been telling you people this. This is what the so-called elites want. They want to spiral everything out of control. Okay? They want to spiral everything out of control. They want you people to lose it. And people are getting ready to lose it. People is going to take to the streets. We're about to see civil war, okay? We're about to see protests, riots, rallies, which all ties into what? Sedition, which is spoken of in 2nd Esdras. Let's get it. 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And that's another thing too. There's going to be race wars here in America, because these Americans, they're also going to blame you tribes, you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians for America's downfall, okay? So this is going to lead to a lot of you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians getting put to death by Edomites. You see that? Okay? So they're going to be hunting you niggas, you ninjas out there, okay? So it's going to lead to race wars. And there's going to be all-out division here in America, okay? You know? Now remember when the black conscious community, when the black conscious community was on and popping, okay? They used to say that you Negroes and Latinos and Native Indians were Egyptians. Well, okay, what did the Lord say concerning the Egyptians in Isaiah 19? Did not the Lord say he would set the Egyptians against the Egyptians? So there's going to be race wars here in America, man. Even though predominantly and ultimately your modern day Egyptians will be the Edomites, which will be the self-proclaimed white man, because America is modern day Egypt, and that's according to Revelation, the 11th chapter, and I believe the 8th verse. So the one people are the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, which shall stand up and fight against another. The another will be you Edomites. Okay? Race wars and swords in their hands. So first and foremost, 2nd Esdras 15 verse 15 is talking about civil war. First and foremost, 2nd Esdras 15 verse 15 is talking about race wars. Okay? Now on the other hand, 2nd Esdras 15 verse 15, okay, the one people is talking about you American people, which shall stand up and fight against another. That's talking about you're going to be fighting against your own government. Okay, so the Lord is going to set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, right? And swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun. Okay, that's your modern day sword. The modern day sword is the gun. Okay? And fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay? So these race wars and these civil wars are going to be fought with guns. And they show you that in that movie, Civil War. For there shall be sedition among men. And what's an example? Or what is a sedition? An uprise or a rebellion against a higher authority or a government. Okay? And an example of a sedition will be what? A protest, a riot, a rally. Okay? People refusing to do work or give their tax paying dollars over to a tyrannical government. These are the times that are coming, man, which is all going to surmount to Jacob's trouble. So there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Your modern day king today will be Trump. Your prince will be these. Your prince will be your government. Okay, your Senate, your Congress, your House of Representatives. Okay, your judicial system. These are your princes. So ain't nobody going to regard what Trump has to say, because Trump made all these promises during his election, right? People thought there was hope. People had their hopes up. Oh my God, this is it. America's finna be great again and blah, 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 blah. Now people is finding out that it was all a farce. Okay? So, the next time Trump hop on the podium and try to pacify the people ain't gonna listen. They're gonna lose it. People are already demanding for Trump that this nigga gotta go. Somebody get this motherfucker out of office. So they ain't gonna regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Carry on. Okay, and bear with me for one moment because this thing likes to be retarded. I'm hitting reload and nothing is happening. So this is what I'm gonna do. Okay. Death toll grows following suspected chemi explosion in Iran. Okay. The world is suffering right now. Okay. Okay. You got an anti-immigration immigration march in Dublin. Okay, people are fed up with how society's being ran. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His Son, Yahweh, they're fed up with how this world is being ran. Okay? New WEF leader decrees all water in the government. All water in the world belongs to global government. So that's gonna lead to people just losing it. Because once the government gains control of all the food and water, what you gonna do when they close down these stores and corner stores? Okay. Now you got news of a woman who apparently killed herself in Virginia. Okay. And more than likely, she didn't kill herself, but there's a story behind it. Apparently, she exposed someone in the government, and I believe she got offed. Okay. Okay. Long Sevid hoax, okay? So, I mean, you see it. I don't need to read any further. Let me see. Who that? Data shows that you see Global Royale, Crown Royale, not Royale, but Crown Royale deaths skyrocketed after mass axed out. Okay, let's go to the second page. Okay, Britain, the mother of Babylon the Great, baby London, right, may scrap plans to send troops to Ukraine. Okay, Prince Andrew, let me see, Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein accuser. See, Virginia, dead by suicide. So she accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of da 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 da. Let's click on this. So she was a victim of you see it, ex trafficking, right? Her name is Giuffre, has died by suicide at the age of 41. Her family has confirmed. And I don't believe her death was a suicide, okay? There's a mass cover-up that's going on in the media right now, okay? A lot of people getting off. You know, she's a victim. She's a survivor, and the victim of being next trafficked. Okay, so Giuffre had accused both Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of actual abuse. Okay, she was one of the most prominent victims of convicted pedophile. You know, we gotta watch our words, right? Because of YouTube algorithms. You know, pedophile. You know, pedo Epstein and his former partner, Madame Ghislaine Maxwell. Giuffre alleged that they trafficked her to the Duke of York when she was 17. So she wouldn't even be considered a child at the age of 17. She would be considered a grown woman. Anyways, and an allegation he has denied, right? So she probably had proof, right? And usually when people have proof and when people have proof against the government or something, the government offs them and pretty much get rid of all the evidence. Relatives said in a statement on Friday that she had been a fierce warrior in a fight against actual abuse. Well, you see it, you know. It says, and that the toll of abuse became unbearable. And she didn't lose her life to suicide. I believe that's a cover-up, okay? She didn't die by suicide. She was offed. And this ain't the first time the government have sent somebody to murder somebody else and then say it was suicide. Okay? Because we remember 10, 15 years ago when many of these different pop stars and rappers and many of these different rock stars and singers, remember when they called themselves trying to expose the Illuminati? Okay, a couple of days or a week later, they was pronounced dead. And what was usually the cover-up story? It was by overdose. You know, they hung themselves. Which in some cases, yeah, some of them actually did commit suicide, but not all of them. Okay, Michael Jackson's death was not a suicidal one. You know, because our people are usually not known for committing suicide because we have a strong will to live, you know. But you know, they do this shit all the time, man. You know, it was a suicide. You know, they'll say it was a suicide by overdose. It was a drug overdose. They overdosed on pills. They overdosed on injections. You know, they was found dead in a hotel. Don't know how. Don't know why. Don't know where. Don't know why it happened. You know. So this woman could be a victim of another cover-up story. You know, she had the receipts, and they was like, hell nah. Okay, so I believe she got offed. Okay. Scientists warn are producing deadly white clots in millions of patients. Which that shouldn't be no surprise, okay? You motherfuckers are stupid for trusting in the US government. Okay, Katie Hobbs, arrested on, you see it right there. Florida Democrat leader abandons party. Democratic Party is dead. Well, it's been dead, dummy. It's been dead. Let's get that in Jeremiah. Is that in? Let me get this. Jeremiah. Talking about it, the Democratic Party is dead. Nigga, that shit been dead. Especially since the year 2020 when Ovid, you know, what was a thing in the world. Let me see. You know, this world is through, man. You eat. It feels like you haven't even you ate nothing. It's not even real fucking food, man. Okay, Jeremiah 51 verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon. Babylon is the United States of America, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in their iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense, a payback. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? So America have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that have made all the earth drunken. It said all the earth, man. You know, you look at Ishmael, right? The Ishmaelites, right? Their women are wearing pants. Their head might be covered, but their women are wearing pants. You know, you got a McDonald's in China, in Japan, in you know, the Mediterranean areas. You know, in the Philippines, you know, women got their heads uncovered. You know, they're wearing pants. You know, over there in Ishmael land, you know, the men are being effeminized. Over there in Syria, you know, they got puppet leaders. Their men are wearing suits. You got skyscrapers in Dubai. You know, you got skyscrapers in China. You got skyscrapers in Japan, you know. You got skyscrapers in Africa, you know. You know, where did they get all that from? They got it from America. Okay. Which is Babylon. The United America, the United States of America is Babylon. It says Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Drunken through what? Through the wine, okay? And the book of Habakkuk, which Habakkuk prophesied against Babylon, okay? He was one of the prophets that prophesied against Babylon, okay? Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. That wine is what? That democracy. Therefore, the nations are mad. Okay? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Okay, in Babylon, the United States of America is destroyed. You know, just look at this country, man. Look where this whole country is heading. Okay, every time you turn around, you got somebody showing up on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, complaining about how the American dream is dead. You know, the word destroy means to break down. And the Lord is utterly breaking this country down, man. Economically, financially, people can't sleep. You got people working 2 jobs and still struggling to pay rent, pay bills. People is at an ultimatum now. Should I buy food or should I pay rent? Should I pay bills or should I keep my internet on? You know? Or should I scrap all that and save this for gas money so I can get to work to be able to make money, to be able to, you know, it's just all madness. So this country is destroyed, man. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take bone for her pain. Now this is also Jeremiah 51 verse 8 is also talking about when this country is literally completely destroyed during World War III. Because during World War III, which is going to escalate into a nuclear war, okay? During World War III, it's going to escalate into a nuclear war. And during the nuclear war, the United States of America, which is Babylon, is going to be the main target of the coming nuclear World War III. Babylon and the land of Israel are going to be the main targets of the nuclear war. So during Babylon, the United States of America's nuclear destruction that it's going to receive, right? Like it tells you in the book of Revelation, right? There's going to be merchants and people who used to trade with America that's going to be standing afar off, you know, basically wailing, crying, you know. Babylon is fallen and it has become the habitation of devils and a place of unclean spirits. you know. No, in other words, they're gonna be wailing afar off because the sailors and the merchants are gonna be wailing afar off for the smoke of her burning, because they're not gonna be able to do business with this country anymore because it's gonna be completely destroyed. Right? So howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. And there ain't gonna be no healing for this country. Once this country is destroyed, it's gonna be a desert full of desert-like creatures, right? Now, on the other hand, right, this country is destroyed, because of the economy. The economy is crashing, the financial system is crashing, and people are getting ready to lose it, right? So take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed, right? We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, right? This country is not healed, and this country is not going to recover. And the only place this country is going is down, CTD, CTMFD, circling the motherfucking drain. This country is out of here. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay, in other words, the government is not going to bounce back. The economy is not going to recover. The financial system is not going to recover. It's not going to bounce back. It's not going to get any better. And the so-called elites don't want this country to bounce back or get better. They want this country to collapse so you people can lose it and beg for a solution, and their solution, their medicine is going to be what? The New World Order, where your ass will be placed in a 15-minute city where you will own nothing and be happy, and you will have a chip in your ass. Okay? But we know that the elect are not going to take the chip. They're going to die. Not all of them, some of them. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. There you go. Let's come back over here. So this country is through, man. Okay, how many times is this? How many times is it gonna do this shit, man? But you see that Satan, because whenever truth and information come out, then he's gotta let me do this. Hold on. See, because now Satan wants to attack my phone because all this info is coming out. No, I didn't ask for that. Oh, look, now they're going to take me here. All right, man. Sorry, we'll just come right back here and go straight to page 2. So the Democratic Party been dead, man. Especially since 2020. Okay. UK names weather control program Satan. Okay. You can't make this shit up, man. Let's zoom in on that. Okay. So United Kingdom names weather control program Satan. Okay. Chemtrails no longer a conspiracy theory. Okay, the Food and Drug Administration fast tracks self-amplifying da 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 da. You see it right there. Okay. BFLU inject. Let's go to page 3. WEF launches investigation into its founder Klaus Cotton Schwab. Okay, and he's just a puppet for the so-called elites. Okay, the so-called elites set him up to create the WEF. The WEF, like I said before, the WEF serves to help the so-called elites get the NWO set up. Okay, let's see. Marburg's blah 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 blah. So yeah, the Marburg da 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 dum trial launched in the U.S. Okay. JFK's far left grandson accuses J.D. Vance of murdering the Pope. Yeah, he's standing right there next to him. It looks like Biden. Okay. And they're just sitting there laughing, you know? Common shampoo chemicals linked to brain damage. Come on, man. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of this kingdom. Goodness gracious. Okay, who is that? That looked like Gil Bates. Said to profit millions from UK's decision to block the Sun. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we got Gil Bates up here trying to block the Sun now. Tensions between India and Pakistan escalate following Kashmir attacks. Blah 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 blah, right? That's Elam over there. India and Pakistan, okay? Leaked footage reveals Steven Spielberg and Michelle Obama. Well, you mean Michael Obama. Okay. Auditing kids for VIP mixtape, as you see right there. The VIP mixtape. Bunch of sick individuals. SEX tape. Warriors of conscience deserve blah 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 blah. Okay, not important. Let's see. We go to page 4 here. Slovakia's PM issues. Okay, CVIT jab warning. Okay. Okay, Pfizer warns maxed men not to have sex with women of childbearing age. Okay. So, are you advising them to have sex with underage women? You motherfucking pedos. Fuck this world, man. Man, 9/11 is old news, man. Give it a rest. You shouldn't even be talking about 9/11 anymore, man. That shit happened way back in 2001, bro. We're in the year 2025. Major U.S. city declares public health emergency. What? Major U.S. city declares public health emergency as chemtrails flood the skies. I'm gonna have to do a video on that separately later. WF Stooge AI Al Gore, WF Stooge Al Gore says Trump administration is worse than Hitler's Third Reich. Whatever that means. Okay, you see it. You see makes first major. Trump's chemtrails task force makes first major geoengineering arrest in U.S. Japanese study proves Okay, JABS are supercharging cancer. Tucker Carlson, deep state attempting to sabotage Trump by starting a war with Iran. I wouldn't say that. The United States going to war with Iran is prophecy. With that, I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.